victory.
That is one way to put it, QuickShot. Dominant victory. This is going to be a tough one to analyze beyond a certain point, only because, again, I do feel like there are certain allowances handed over to SKT from RNG in that early game that you have to avoid on the world stage.
I completely agree that SKT, when they have a lead, are super, super good. But what is going on with RNG? In Game 2, they didn't kill the Wolf Camp. Mata brought wind speakers on Zyra. Between Games 2 and 3, Looper spilt water on his keyboard, and they had to switch that out as we were delayed. Like, what is happening with their mentality right now?
I mean, it's a good question because it's clearly affecting their play.
I told you after Game 1, it's like, don't get your hopes up. This is like typical RNG. Oh, this is more of a severe degradation than what we're used to seeing, but that's the problem with this team, and that's why so many people have kind of jumped off the bandwagon, because every time they give you hope, it crushes you. They're like the CLG of China.
So I like what SKT did. Ban Jace, ban Kennen. They had so many headaches around the top lane. They get the Nara matchup. It ends up being against the Rumble, which is fine for the Nara, obviously. And you kind of look at where RNG's at. So in the mid game, they don't have a winning lane. This time, Duke's the one who actually has control of his lane. So they can't play around a winning lane. There's no early snowball this game. They actually fall behind. They just brute force their way around bot lane. It's too obvious. They end up giving things in. After that, what does Royal have left? They go for gank brushes. They go for really low percentage plays. It seemed like they were kind of out of ideas at 20 minutes this game, and out of ideas 3 games into a best-of-5.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you say they don't have winning lanes. Like, Rumble does shove in almost all matchups before, and the Zyra Jhin has proven to be a better lane than the other duo lanes. So technically, they had 2 losing lanes and an absorbing lane in the mid lane in Vladimir. So that part of the draft I was okay with. But when they teleport down bottom lane and get nothing after having their support die, that's when they lose both of those lanes, which should have been winning in a standard set.
And that's what I'm kind of saying. The adaptation on the fly when these theoretical winning lanes aren't winning wasn't there. They were out of ideas. When those lanes aren't winning, they're getting solo kills up on the Wrath. They didn't have any extra playbook to come back in this game.
Yeah, and I don't think any team really has a playbook in these scenarios. Like, League of Legends has evolved past the point where you can afford to send your top laner level 5 into a lane, not get a kill, walk back to lane, get killed, your jungler goes bot, gets killed again. At that point, it doesn't matter who's playing, who's left, who's right. The game's over.
And of course, this is a two-way street here. So I want to go ahead and take a look at our ace replay, which is just the early game dominance put together by SKT, of course, with some allowances handed over from RNG.
Yeah, and SKT is smart here because they know that Mata's flash is down. So if he ever even steps into that brush, they can straight up kill him.
Yeah, he was playing at max range. They were playing as if he was at the other end of the brush. Mata too far up. Looper connects to teleport, doesn't get anything. Then he goes back to lane, exactly like what we were talking about. This happens.
And Blank was in counter gank mode when he actually made the gank work in bot. This is a true gank from Blank that actually really opened up this lane as well. The Olaf pick actually came up big trumps for Blank in this game, but SKT, the playmaking was there, and RNG, they kept going for plays. This is after the first 2 plays have happened.
Yeah, and this is where it turned into a full disaster for RNG because they had burned multiple teleports bottom. Looper had started falling behind so much. And this is what I think is so great about SKT, is if you give them an inch, they will win the game. And this happens not even in this game, but in other times where they get 1 kill and turn it into a Baron. They're just so good at capitalizing on advantages.
And stylistically, we see the difference. When SKT fall behind in the early game, they go slower. They play calm and collected. They get into defense mode, almost turtle up, and they take small victories here and there. RNG, they try to fight their way out. That's the problem. We saw glimpses of good moments there of MLXG going in for the fancy Lee Sin plays. Honestly, fantastic Lee Sin player. That's why many people were afraid because he got his hands on that champion. But RNG, Mata playing at max range in brushes with no flash. Going for full force ganks. Mata in that second gank walked through a full minion wave. Guess what, guys? You're getting ganked. Zyra's tanking like 20 million creeps at us all of a sudden. So they just go blind aggression forward and very often just backfires.
I mean, SKT have earned this high expectations they bring. A couple of kills in the early game. In other leagues, it's probably not going to be the game. There could be that comeback. What's going to happen around Baron? SKT, 2-3 ganks go wrong. The game goes wrong.
And there we have it. We're going into match point for the reigning world champion. Stick around because we'll be right back after a quick break. Now instead, he's Blank.
No flash onto Mata. Root comes down. First blood picked up by Bang. MLXG flash kick. Root doesn't find Bang. Mata's in trouble. Teleport's coming down from Duke. Mata's rooted. They trade 1 for 1.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Here comes Zyra.
Root onto Blank, the fight's not over. Overheating for Looper, that's the shutdown goal. Small advantage, but he gets dropped by the True Shot Barrage. Faker gets another. Xiaohu's left alone. He hops over the minions, sidesteps a deadly flourish. MLXG's looking for the kill. Sonic Wave connects, resonating strike. Duke might just survive. Mega